Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The next press conference is weekly updates from the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine. I give the floor to Mr. Alexander Hook, Principal Deputy Chief Monitor of the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission.
Good afternoon. Last week, the sides recommitted to the ceasefire. There is no new ceasefire. Instead, they recommitted to promises made a long time ago. And while we have seen this before, I am thus far cautiously optimistic. The day before the recommitment was made, the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine recorded over 2,700 ceasefire violations. As you can see on this graph here, there has been a steady decline since then, especially pronounced since the recommitment came into effect early on 1st of July. Welcome news indeed, especially for the long-suffering civilians caught in the middle. Welcome also, as it demonstrates that when the sides want to cease fire, they can. Yet again, the sides have shown that when they want to turn off the tap of violence, they can do it. This past week or so has proven that the difference between compliance and non-compliance, the difference between normality and violence, is the will to make it happen. Dear friends, while there has been a steady decrease in the number of ceasefire violations since the recommitment was made, demonstrating that it is possible for the ceasefire to hold and that the will to make it whole exists, last week, taken as a whole, was not without example of non-compliance with the Minsk agreements. We saw in fact no compliance with the ceasefire 8,292 times. Put another way, the sides fired weapons 8,292 times last week, a 50% increase on the previous week. Since the beginning of the year, the sides have actually fired weapons over 140,000 times. Almost 6,000 instances involved the use of weapons proscribed by the Minsk agreements. Last week we also saw non-compliance with the weapons withdrawal provisions of the Minsk agreements. 51 times, 31 heavy weapons spotted in government-controlled areas and 20 in areas not controlled by the government. Here, in a non-government controlled area close to Travnichanske, one of our long-range UAVs on 26 June spotted 3 self-propelled howitzers, all in violation of agreed withdrawal lines. 3 days before, an SMM long-range UAV spotted 5 self-propelled howitzers, 2 of which you can see on this frame, close to government-controlled Krivna. More non-compliance. So far this year, we have observed weapons in violation of agreed withdrawal lines over 2,000 times. An almost even split, with half observed on either side of the contact line. Non-compliance takes other forms. Our monitoring officers see mines or indications of the presence of mines on almost every patrol conducted close to the contact line. Here in this image, taken by a long-range SMM UAV close to non-government controlled Nizhny Lozove, you can see anti-tank mines laid across the motorway. Or here, close to government-controlled Travneve, a long-range SMM UAV spotted 25 anti-tank mines on the road. The people who laid these mines, and thousands more like them, are answerable to people who signed Article 6 of the Minsk Memorandum of 19 September 2014. They also agreed to the Trilateral Contact Group's decision on mine action of 3rd March 2016. Both of which prohibit the laying of new mines and oblige the signatories to remove all previous laid mines. Both of which, as it is patently obvious from our monitoring, the sites are in non-compliance. Dear friends, non-compliance is not just a legal matter, and certainly it is not an academic matter. It has real consequences for real people. Last week, another 6 people were added to the growing tally of civilian casualties. So far this year, the OSCE SMM has confirmed 150 civilian casualties, 29 fatalities, and 121 injuries. 15 civilians have thus far this year been killed because of mines or unexploded ordnance, and another 34 have been injured. By mines just like the ones I have shown you before, taken by our unmanned aerial vehicles. Mines that should not be there, mines that the sites have promised to remove. Dear friends, this conflict is being fought not because of deep historical divisions, not because of centuries of hatred, not because neighbors or friends are not any longer neighbors or friends. It is fought because armed men and soldiers have been ordered to fight. And when ordered to stop fighting, when ordered to comply with the ceasefire agreed in Minsk 4 years ago, they largely comply. These armed men and soldiers are part of structures with chains of command, structures in which members do as they are told. We know this to be true. Not only have we seen it this week, we have seen it on numerous occasions how, when ordered to comply with the ceasefire, armed men and soldiers almost fully comply. We have had many recommitments to the ceasefire over the years. At Christmas and New Year, at Easter, and when children go back to school. On every occasion, there has been a dramatic decrease in the number of ceasefire violations. Every occasion, every recommitment has shown that ceasefire is possible. They can do it. Dear friends, this recommitment has brought tangible benefits. There are people alive today who perhaps would not be if there had not been this recommitment. There are real people who have not been scarred with horrible injuries because the order to cease fire was given on both sides of the contact line. Because armed men and soldiers have demonstrated a large degree of discipline. Discipline and even the will to cease fire is, however, not enough. We have seen before how it is not enough. We have seen how the same cycle of violence re-emerges. We have seen how violence has followed every other recommitment to the ceasefire. Madness only interrupted by short periods of sanity. This does not have to be. There is a package of measures signed by the signatories designed to ensure it does not. Measures, weapons withdrawal, disengagement, demining, that if implemented will ensure recommitment to the ceasefire can have lasting results. Measures that if taken will ensure sanity prevails. Only when the weapons are withdrawn, only when the sides have disengaged and when the mines are removed, only then can the ceasefire hold on a permanent basis. Only if the basic preconditions for a sustainable ceasefire are in place, only then can the guns fall silent forever. There must be full compliance with all provisions agreed in Minsk. There must be an end to non-compliance, an end to violence. This period of relative low level of violence not only requires full compliance in terms of weapons withdrawal, disengagement and demining, if it is to continue. It is also an opportunity. This is a time that must be seized by the sides. They have shown the will, they have shown the discipline. Now, in a period of relative calm, they must push through, they must build on the trust they have generated, they must use this time to implement the Minsk agreements in good faith. This is an opportunity that should not be missed. There have already been too many missed opportunities, too many times when people in eastern Ukraine dared to hope, when they thought there was an end in sight, an end to 4 years of madness and violence. Too many times their hopes have been dashed. Wasted chances following recommitments to the ceasefire, when as the level of violence fell, the level of trust increased. Windows of opportunity that close quickly as the sides fail to take advantage to seize the moment for peace. Now this window is still open. There is a relative calm along the contact line. Now is the time. Withdraw the weapons, disengage, and demine. Make this ceasefire real, make it irreversible. Make what was promised 4 years ago a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. Now it's time for questions. Dear colleagues, if you have questions, you're welcome to ask them. The question will be in Ukrainian.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hood. Alexander Zherkova, Ukrinform, and I have the following question. Yes, can you hear me? Cool. Alexander Zherkova, Ukrinform, and the question is about recently published information about ex-female member Evgenia Zimich. Whether she is still working for the mission or not, I would like to remind you that this was the female mission member who was photographed in 2015 during the party of one of the leaders of Kilo.
Thank you. We are aware of the resurfacing of these images, and we have also issued a fact check publicly. The staff members that are pictured on these images are not any longer working for the Special Monitoring Mission.
Ще одне питання з приводу
One more question about DFS. What is the current developments around DFS? This week, have you recorded any ceasefire violations there? Donetsk filtration station, I mean.
Thank you. Yes, the area where the filtration station is located remains a hotspot. We do register ceasefire violation in the vicinity of the Donetsk filtration station, despite explicit security guarantees to the opposite.
Are there more questions? If there is no more questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you.